middle six player. So we're talking second line at best, third line at worst.
Yep.
Still pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of first-round picks that the Maple Leafs have made in the last 20 years that have not been middle six players. I can tell you that.
No, they haven't even made it to the NHL at some points, too. Like,
Right.
we just haven't really amounted to much. I know, like, they've tried a few defensemen. Both Liljegren and Sandin, gone. Right? Like, it's just those sort of things where, you know what, like, I have a bit higher hopes for East account just because of what we have seen from him. Playing in his Memorial Cup tournaments have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people talk about that World Juniors. I don't think a World Junior tournament should ever really make or break a prospect, in my opinion. I think their overall body of work should. So, yeah. I'm surprised, like, just even going down. Like, I don't know if are we going to continue going down the list.
Well, yeah. Next up is Ben Danford, who was a first-round pick the Leafs a couple of years ago. Playing for the Oshawa Generals. Again, another player with high compete level, and NHL average skating, below average puck skills, which we already knew. Hockey sense considered NHL average. He's a top player for the Oshawa Generals, but more of like a defensive defenseman, right shot defensive defenseman who, I'm excited to get a look at because remember he was hurt last year in training camp, so we never actually got to see Ben Danford play in any games with the Maple Leafs. So, he's a big boy, 6'2", 194 pounds. He plays the style that Craig Berube wants to see. So I'm excited to see what Ben Danford is all about. And then there's only one other player that is considered in the future NHLer ranking in that tier, and that's Miroslav Holinka, who they took in the same draft as Danford a couple of rounds later, 151st. He's projected to play some NHL games as a completely average player. All of his skating, puck skills, hockey sense, compete level, his shot, it's all NHL average, according to Corey Proman, with an above average shot, actually. Again, Holinka played his first year in North America this past season, so we'll get more of an opportunity to see what he could do. But then after that, it's a bunch of, these guys might play in the NHL. Like, there's no top tier prospects in this Leafs team. Again, it's Matthew Nyes, who's already an established player. It's kind of cheeky to have him on this list. And then you got Cowan, Danford. This Holinka cat is considered a maybe. And then the next ranking the next tier has a chance to play. And that's where you get Noah Chadwick, Tyler Hopkins, and this year's, first pick in their draft, Tinas Luke Kobler, who they took in the second round. Nathan Mays is a guy they took late in last year's draft, and he's considered to have a possibility, a chance to play. But there's not a whole lot of guys. According to Prodman, he believes there's only 4 players in this Maple Leafs prospect pipeline that will play NHL games, that he projects to play NHL games. And then the rest, it's like, maybe if development goes well. That's not a very good hit rate for the Maple Leafs.
No. And it's been kind of discussed the last few years of why this team has maybe not seen the improvements that they have, just because they haven't been able to draft well enough to help fill the needs of the roster, right? They always have to trade for certain players, or when you call somebody up from the AHL, they're not exactly playing a prominent role. They're just a body to fill in on certain nights. Like last year they were ranked 22. So I think when you look at the fact that the last few years there haven't been a lot of picks either, like they've traded a lot of their high-end picks, so they're picking a lot of guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds as well, which you're taking a lot of shots, a lot of hopes that hope it works out, sort of draft picks there. And they got a C in this. No, they graded them a C in the draft. This past year.
I mean, they only have 2 players from this past draft that popped up on the has a chance to play, and that was Tyler Hopkins and Tinas Luke Kobler. So we'll see what those two have in store for themselves this upcoming season. I'm curious to see how it all goes for these guys, and we'll see. There's always an opportunity for prospects to pop, right? Right now they're considered lower end prospects. The development time hasn't been invested as much quite yet, but with time, maybe someone will flourish into one of those 3rd, 4th, 5th round steals that you do see pop up around the NHL from time to time. The Leafs haven't necessarily had a whole lot of that recently, but there's been a lot of that around the NHL elsewhere. So maybe it's time for the Maple Leafs to uncover a little diamond in the rough at some point here. It's funny though, we're through 25, so 32 through 25 on the prospect pipeline has been announced so far. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. 4 of the 7 Canadian teams have already been unveiled. So the Canadian teams are not drafting particularly well. The Oilers at 31st, the Avs 32nd, by the way, with the worst prospect pipeline. And then 3 straight Canadian teams here. Sens at 27, so at least the Leafs have a better prospect pipeline than the Senators, apparently. Leafs at 26, Jets at 25. So,
which is surprising to me a little bit, because I thought the Senators had some decent prospects, but then you're thinking yeah, Carter Yakimchuk is their crown jewel, and then it's oh, well, what do they have after that?
Yeah, it's not a whole lot, right? A lot of them have made their way through the team. They've the last 5 years they've drafted well, and they're kind of making their way onto the club now, right? The Stutzlas and the Sandersons, and Ridley Gregg is now with the club, and Tyler Clevin is now with the club. So a lot of their young players have kind of made their way onto the roster. It's interesting though, the Maple Leafs they didn't have a goaltender though. That's what I found kind of curious, because there's a couple of young goalies that the Maple Leafs have that I thought you could consider, and I thought maybe he didn't include goalies. But I'm just looking at the Ottawa one. He has a goaltender on the list for Ottawa, so he must have included goalies. Not too sure why he didn't include one of either Hildeby or Akhtiamov, who are considered pretty good goaltending prospects for the Maple Leafs in the has a chance to play department. Hildeby's already played. He's already played NHL games. So little surprised that those two didn't make the list, and no goaltenders made the list for Toronto. But not an overly stocked pipeline. We know this. It's not like it's a surprise. The Maple Leafs have 3 or 4 decent prospects who have an NHL future, and that a bunch of wild cards, we'll sees, and maybes at that point. A lot of lottery tickets for the Buds when it comes to their prospects. All right, buddy. We'll finish her up there. Good chat. Always enjoy it. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at _. More soon, you can follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys on Wednesday. Not tomorrow, Wednesday. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.